Welcome to Nitro World Games 2018. We are coming to you from the Utah Motorsports Campus here in Utah, the state of sport. Today, it is all about Nitro Rallycross, all coming out of the mind of Travis Pastrana. And you know what happens when Travis Pastrana thinks of things? Well, they become big and they become exciting. Believe me, you don't want to be in the mind of Travis Pastrana. Well, yesterday was all about crazy action out here on this course. The big feature there, the huge jump, and today it is finals day. We're gonna have more cars on the course, more carnage, more racing, and boys, we are gonna be here to bring it to you all on Velocity. How's it going, everybody? I am Todd Richards. Joined next to me here, we have Chris Jacobs from Velocity and Bucky Lasek, professional rally driver, also professional skateboarder, and these guys, plus myself, are going to be bringing you the action all day today from the host set. Now, boys, started things off yesterday. Very, very exciting the way this thing came out. Now, the big thing was Travis wanted to bring a new format to Rallycross. He wanted to make things bigger, better, more interesting. Chris, did they deliver yesterday or what?
Oh man, did they deliver in a big way or what? We saw some amazing action. And the thing I took away most from yesterday was that Timmy Hansen proved you don't have to take the gap jump to do well. He picked his spots, he was fast where he needed to be, and he performed well, even though he didn't take that big jump.
So Bucky, more cars on the track today. What does that mean as far as strategy goes, incorporating that big jump? Where's the fastest line gonna be?
It gives us more action to watch, that's for sure. And it's going to determine the semis. So right now you just want to get in there and you want to, it's about the time still. So these cars want to get in there and get some fast times.
All right, and now the goal today is, as we've taken already 3 people on into the semifinal, but the best thing that you can do today is get yourself in a good position for the final event. You see right there, there's the standings after day number 1. And man, as we said, it was just absolutely crazy. We had some very big surprises, though, on day number 1. You know, we had some really intense racing going on. We lost one of the major players on day 1. We'll get to that in a second, but boys, talk me through some of what we saw yesterday. Chris?
We saw a lot of action, actually. My name's Bucky. I'm going to talk for Chris.
All right, Buck.
And
take it away.
Yeah, we saw a lot of action, a lot of rubbing. It was really dusty, as you can see. I think Travis Pastrana was running around with a windshield that he couldn't even see out of. I think he was like driving like Ace Ventura.
Well, you know, Travis took that gap jump more times than any other driver out there. You see Tanner Faust going across that gap jump, getting some serious air. It's amazing how flat those VWs stay when they're in the air. You see the guys battling it out into the tires right there. We saw so much rub and a lot more than I expected, I think, especially between the 2 Swedes in that final race.
That race right there was what Travis was looking for. You see him there just, you know, so excited about it because he really wanted to bring something new to Rallycross. Big features, lots of opportunity for passing, and in typical Nitro World Games fashion, giving the canvas for progression, but also creating a safe environment. So you see right here just how much dust, how much visibility was lost there yesterday, and there's Travis, a clean windscreen for right now, which is gonna bring us into the Travis Red Bull POV of this course. This is in car with Travis Pastrana as he rips through this track. All right, well, there's a look at that monster jump. Now, Bucky, I mean, how hard is it to do like a voiceover like that? Because this course is obviously
It's
a beast in
intense.
itself.
Yeah, it's intense. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. There's a lot in hand, and Travis did a great job. I thought when I watched the video, I didn't see that he was giving a course review. I thought he was actually just giddy.
Right.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be in the car with Travis for a couple laps yesterday as he was practicing, and all I could do was just yell and scream. So for him to be able to talk, that's pretty amazing.
First mistake, getting in a car with Travis Pastrana. All right, well, yesterday was all about, the crashes and what happened on this course. We had some penalties being assessed for hitting tires. Bucky, what's it like here? You got to stay clean on this course, or else you're going to start racking up points against you.
You do have to stay clean, and I know that they're going to water the track down a lot today. I'm not sure how they're going to do it in these first races. I think they're going to kind of keep it kind of even playing field when it comes to the surface. So let's see what happens.
Well, it was definitely, who was the most aggressive. We saw that the Battle of the Swedes later on in a couple of the rounds, but you just get an idea right here of how aggressive these guys are. They're pushing each other super, super hard out there. And we had windscreens flying off, we had rear windows, we had
Defeating
suspensions.
tires.
Yeah, I mean, there was some definite carnage going on. And one of the people that was the recipient of the carnage was Mr. Ken Block, one of the heroes out for today's competition.
It is what it is. I'm actually really bummed because this is what I think the best rallycross track ever built, and we just don't have the equipment to drive on it. It's that much bigger than what we've built this car for. So thanks, Travis, for having me out. Great job, Nitro Circus. But I just can't risk injuring myself because of the equipment we have. It is what it is.
All right, well, bummer to see Ken Block out of this. He is one of the heroes. All right, Christy Lee, the fourth member of our broadcast team, is down with Tanner Faust right now.
Tanner, difficult morning for you. You've got a lot of work to do today, not only in the Challenger race, but also missing practice this morning due to a mechanical issue.
Yeah, it went out first lap of practice, and I just had a little miss in the engine. The guys are a little cautious about it. They decided to change engines since we had a little bit of time. So it just means I didn't do practice. Normally that wouldn't be an issue, but one thing I do like about Nitro World Games is they're constantly evolving the track once we learn lessons. I mean, it is the most unique rallycross track ever built, so it's great that they're adapting as we go, but it just means if you miss practice, you don't get to see the new stuff. I've ridden around on the bike a few times, and going up against Arpin here, I've just got to basically lay it down.
Well, it's certainly interesting because Arpin was struggling with suspension issues yesterday. You were able to take the jump. That gave you an advantage with time. It gave Arpin a disadvantage. But today he was able to go out during that practice session, and as you said yourself, that is kind of a disadvantage not knowing what you're up against today.
Yeah, I paid pretty close attention. Arpin goes very quick around the rest of the track. The big jump is a small time advantage. Hopefully it's enough for a pass. I've struggled in turn one, and so hopefully if he does get the better of me in turn one, then I do have that jump in my back pocket to try to make a pass, because on this track, as awesome as it is, you really need clean air in order to see those jumps, those banks. The dust builds up, and with the dry air here in Utah, it's a gnarly factor to be stuck in the dust. On TV, you can still see the car, but in the car, you literally can see nothing. So it is going to be critical to break out in the lead as early as possible.
All right, well, the team has been working vigorously to get that car back together and ready to go for race time. Best of luck today.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, we've got much more to come here. We're going to get this thing underway. You are watching Nitro Rallycross from the Nitro World Games in Utah on Velocity. Stick around. Much more coming up from Utah, the state of sport.
It's just mind-blowing. I truly am so fired up for today. As we get ready to go into the first race right now, I don't even want to pick anyone. Well, you have number 34, that's Jim Fox. He is on the inside. He is in the rock top, and then you can see Doug Zero, Steve Arvin. So Arvin, Doug Zero, he is on the outside line. The reason that there are two drivers and not three, like what you said, and Block, unfortunately, decided to leave the competition. So now these two drivers are in challenger race number 1. And what they're battling for, this is the season great choice for the semifinal. So we have our 4th and 5th driver position on start. We're moving to challenger race 2 after this, and then so I don't want to confuse, I don't want to get too much information. But the point is, everyone is racing always good. We want to prove that this track works as well. We always better. And then the 91 with the gap jump and all the rest of the Travis really wants to prove that this track can race. Well, you said everybody's racing all day, but every race does count. You've got to make it for one race to try to win it, get good, start race for the next race. It goes and goes and goes. It doesn't stop. Because in that line, you want to be all the way up front. Yeah, absolutely. So this guy that is riding with level 0 on the right-hand side, he is inspirational to the holiday season. So you have to qualify for it. I expect him to really things out here at the World Games. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment and get to see our people with us.
Welcome back to Nitro Rallycross here from Utah, but check it out, Nitro World Games is all about the progression of all kinds of incredible sports. It is the greatest show on earth, and we had freestyle motocross go down earlier today. And Bucky, you and I have got a lot of friends that do freestyle motocross.
Yes.
It ain't no joke.
It's no joke, and some of these guys were going down.
Wow, look at this right here. It is basically a resi padded landing. These dudes, gravity is still the same. It still hurts. You don't want a motorcycle landing on top of you. Jeez Louise. So that was how we started our day off here at Nitro World Games. We got that done. We also have another event coming up after the Nitro Rallycross, and that's the Nitro Quarter Pipe over here. Chris, I mean, looking at that quarter pipe that's over here, there's some serious carnage that could go down.
It's amazing. I mean, that thing is a beast. It's huge seeing it here in person. It's a shame that the wind was so high yesterday and this morning. We, missed out on a couple practice sessions. But what I've seen so far is just thrilling.
Yeah, it basically redefines what you think is big air, and this is the winner right here. getting it done. I can remember a couple years ago when the backflip was like the gnarliest trick you could do, but Pat Bowden just toying with these flips. So congratulations to him. There's our top 3 from FMX Best Trick. But right now, we're gonna send it over to Andrew and Tess with the call right now.
Thanks, Todd. Amazing to watch that FMX competition today and the crazy things that they're doing. But all we do now at Nitro World Games is we take the crazy out there and we move it on to the rally track. And I think the racing we have in store here today, it's going to be unbelievable, because now essentially we're going to get more cars on the track at the same time.
We're going to see big jumps. We're maybe not going to see double backflips. I don't know. That jump in the middle is pretty big. We haven't seen any so far. But yeah, we've got a couple of challenger races coming up, which are going to decide the grid positions for the semi-finals. Those are really important, because getting a good grid position in Rallycross, there'll be staggered grids when we reach the semi-finals, and that means you're at a real advantage if you're on the first row. Or, in the case of these guys, who gets the inside line in the second row.
And of course, the interesting story with this challenger race is this is where Ken Block would have been if he hadn't pulled out yesterday. And again, a lot of challenges with the Ford that he had yesterday, and then of course deciding to pull out, which I think was smart, because he said he was really feeling some pain.
Yeah, they were struggling. They've been struggling with jumps this year in the Focus RS RX. They've been struggling with the suspension with the car since its inception, really. They're doing a little bit more development this year between Lowenbro Racing and Hoonigan Racing Division. But yeah, Ken had hurt himself. He's racing next week in ARX. He was feeling a bit beat up, so he decided to pull out. Now, what's interesting here is Arpin, as a result of that, won't do the big gap jump. Faust almost certainly will, and we think the difference in lap time test is a second.
Here we go. When the lights are green, we are racing Nitro Rallycross. Here we go.
Creeping from Arpin off the line there, so the stewards could view that dimly. He didn't really jump the start. He goes around the outside, going to try and shut the door on Faust. Yeah, doesn't want to be too late and run the car wide. He doesn't, but let's see here. If Faust goes straight to the big jump, which he does, he splits right over that little crest, and here we think the difference is about a second.
Here we go, Tanner Faust. It's a 90-foot gap, and that's about a 130-foot jump, and does he beat him? Oh, contact in the first Talladega turn, and they both managed to keep going. No, they don't. That was bad for Arpin. He runs such an aggressive race.
I think Arpin's broken his front left steering arm test. I could be wrong, but he's struggling with the car already, and it looked like it had a lot of toe on it a minute ago. So Arpin, if he hasn't broken it completely, has basically handed that to Faust. So Faust going to cruise. Is Faust going to go slow?
Yeah, Faust doesn't look like he's racing. Oh, does he have a problem with the front there?
He got hit pretty hard in the side, so Arpin came in pretty hot there into the first of those bank turns. You can see it's cost him anyway with the broken steering, but he's going to have to park it. What's up with Faust? Can Faust continue to be honest? Faust only got across the line, and he gets a better result than Arpin anyway. In theory, he could pull off.
But here is Faust nursing this car around, because he knows he has more racing to come up. He's got the semi, then he's got the final.
Rear right. I think he's got a puncture rear right, possibly. We need to check that more closely. Arpin's out. That's broken steering, no question about that. So that's going to get dragged back. Watch for Faust. So have a look at the Ford tyres. I think the rear right's possibly deflated from that contact. But we'll need to see the other side of the car. He certainly won't be. And so that's a good sign. Yeah, there you go, rear right down. So possibly also the rear right toe link broken. So because Faust is the only driver out there, they're going to check this early. Remember, it's not about race time, it's about position tests, and that's the right thing to do.
But now it's about what the mechanics in these teams can do to get both of these cars up and ready for the semifinals, because they're both through. This was just for grid.
Yeah, sure. Faust's team with a bit less work to do, I feel. It's probably maybe one toe link on the rear. Could just be that puncture. And Tanner's a pro. Yeah, see the rear toe link is broken. You can see the rear wheel is acting like a front wheel in the way it's steering. So they're going to have one suspension link and a tyre to do. Arpin's guys, they've got to get the car back. And this is the big thing, Tess. Is taking the car back on the truck will cost you 5 minutes. Whereas these guys, Tanner's guys, are going to get the car back right now. And they're going to be tight for time. Yeah, we've got more racing, semi-finals to come, and then the final two.
So again, all of these drivers are racing for grid position in the semi-finals. Tanner Faust, Steve Arpin, both having problems with their cars now. This is where it's going to get hot and heavy. This is going to be some furious action in the pits, trying to get these cars ready to get back on the semi. Let's take a look again at this start and what really happened around that corner.
Yeah, Tanner knows. Okay, so Tanner over the big jump. Watch this. He's gained about a second on Arpin. He's clearly in front of Arpin at this point, but Arpin's coming in hot, to be fair.
And does Arpin even see him at the point that he's committed to that line?
Yeah,
Is
it's
the
difficult
question.
to tell. Another angle here. I wonder if we'll see the merge. So watch for Arpin coming in from the right. Remember, he's taken the tabletop jump. He's going to rejoin. Yeah, he's committed maybe to his braking point at this point. He's late. He's trying to go up the inside, and boom, you can see why the rear tyre and the rear toe link was broken on Tanner's car, and clearly why it is for Arpin. Tanner kept the throttle on and tried to pull it out. Do you know what? I think if that, yeah. You don't need to be a lip reader to know Travis thought that was awesome.
Oh, well, I'm sure he wanted more racing out of that, but now, if you are inside,
Look at the
garage
Volkswagen
right now.
Andretti Rallycross guys. They're coming back on the scooters as fast as they can. They'll already have radioed the pit to make sure that the parts are coming out. They've got a big job in their hands here, Tess.
semi-finals coming up when we return to Nitro Rallycross. Be sure not to miss it.
Welcome back to Nitro Rallycross live on Velocity, live racing action. I think action might be an understatement after that Challenger race we just saw. Contact between Tanner Faust and Steve Arpin. Tanner, what a race. They say rubbing is racing, right?
That was more than rubbing for sure, but you know, there's some wet spots out there. Maybe Steve was on, you know, sometimes the sand turns to ice when it gets wet. So maybe he got stuck on it, but I don't think he went to the brakes in that corner. The jump is a bit faster, so I passed him in the air with the jump. He went under the jump. And, you know, I heard clear from my spotter, moved over, and it was pretty clear. But it was a big shunt. It was a big enough hit from Steve that it broke both of our cars. Broke his car a little worse than, you know, he's a little worse off than I was. So I think I take the win by default on that one. But, yeah, hopefully that's not the an indication of how the rest of the day is going to go.
Hopefully not. Well, best of luck later on. Your team's definitely earning their stripes today working.
Yeah, these guys are absolutely cranking. Andretti Rallycross is really working hard. So, yeah, we're stoked. When we get 8 cars together, you know, it's going to be mayhem, that's for sure.
Thanks, Tanner. Guys?
Thanks, Christy. I think, to be honest, Andrew, Tanner's being a little fair there.
Tanner's being very nice, isn't he?
Oh, there they are, yeah.
Arpin's turned up and said sorry. Tanner said he didn't think he went on the brakes. We actually saw the rear shot. You did see the brake light come on, so Arpin did get on the brakes, but Tanner's right, it was too late. And whether that was a misjudgment from Arpin or a grip thing, what's cool is you can see these guys are like, sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, racing incident.
And Steve, honestly, he knows his car. He doesn't have that suspension set up to really race this course the way he wants to. So he's been driving so aggressively and trying to get as much speed through this course. So big credit to him. But now, look at the heat in this race. This Challenger race is going to be amazing. 2 Swedes, and then, of course, this American guy right here, Travis Pastrana, who's come up with this wild NRX concept.
The architect, I think we're going to call him. That's right. I mean, yeah, what a track. If you saw the onboard with him earlier on, yeah, I was watching him do the jump, and he was laughing. Like, he did the jump, was full on laughing in the car. It reminded me of the early days. We had that massive crash in the Subaru and thought it was great. You know, like he's a wild guy, and he's created a roller coaster course of a rallycross track, which these guys are absolutely loving. Look at this. So Sandell, the back of his car, they've taped off the whole of the rear of the car with a plastic sheet.
Dust out.
So they've actually mounted a plastic sheet between the snorkel, which is that huge carbon fiber thing down the center of the car. I've never seen them do that before, and that will be to combat the dust that they had inside the cars yesterday.
We saw so much dust in the car. We thought at one point that Travis Pastrana couldn't even see. Oh, that's taped up the Subaru team. Yeah. Look at that. That is some ingenuity late in the game to get him going. What I was going to say, though, is Matthias Ekström, who's in the center there in the Audi, he said yesterday, I became an action sports athlete after jumping this big 100-foot gap. I can't call this one. This is going to be a really exciting race.
It's a very even launch.
Wow.
Pastrana's got good traction on the outside. The other two are going to break for the jump. That's going to see Pastrana try and come around, get the whole shot. He's going to be able to shut the door on Sandell. Doesn't want to run wide, though. Sandell will stick a nose in there if he can. And then they're going to hook off to the right. So Ekström's lost out, and Ekström's taken the standard lap. So despite losing the start, these two are squabbling. They've got to be careful. They've got to get their run-up side-by-side jump here, maybe over the big hit. Both the Subarus. Amazing.
Wow. That is what Travis was hoping for, and they beat Ekström into the turn, but then
Ekström's going to go low. They've run wide.
Problem for Sandell. Problem for Sandell. Slowed down in the first Talladega turn. Now Matthias Ekström in the white car. Travis Pastrana in the dark blue Red Bull car. Oh, and a little tap there on the backside of it. Oh, he's pushing him all the way through the turn. Wow.
That's more than a tap. It's a big push. Yeah, it's a battle of the balls here, isn't it? Audi versus Subaru. Pastrana clips a tyre. That was a 1-second penalty yesterday, but they're not racing here for time. They're racing for position. So this is the section where Ekström tried to make the move on Hansen yesterday. And I tell you what, Tess, we went round there, me and Bucky had Sandell's out. Sandell is out. Full front right collapse. Look, you can see the wheels right up in the arch. So 2-car race, Ekström, Pastrana. Do you think Ekström's going to take the jump?
Well, I think Ekström this time will have to take the jump. He sees how fast it is in terms of getting in there, and I think the only reason he managed to get through was the fact that there was contact between Sandell and Pastrana.
He's going again, so here we go. So Ekström's going to take the jump in the Audi this time. Big air.
Oh, beautiful, smooth landing there in the Audi from Matthias Ekström. Travis Pastrana right behind him, though.
Pastrana using the banked bend, and it's interesting to see, isn't it, the different lines. We've already seen a couple of passes set up by these bank bends. I know the drivers are really enjoying them. And then there's another jump coming up which actually drops them in here. This one drops them straight in, look, to a piece of banking, fantastic. And Sandell, wherever he's parked it, has managed to get it off the racing line test. So that means these guys can go at it for another couple of laps.
And correct me on this one, this race will actually dictate who gets to be on the front row in that second semi. So this is actually a very important race between Ekstrom and Pastrana right now, because this is a front row start.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to be on the front row, say staggered grids, rallycross in the heat stages, the qualifying stages, you start in a line. We get some amazing carnage down at turn 1. Once you reach the semis and the finals, you stagger the grid, and so it's a big advantage.
So the Joker lap, they have to take this once per race and only once, and the Joker lap is a longer way around, and neither Ekstrom nor Pastrana has taken the Joker yet. So at some point they're going to have to take it, and I think Travis is probably going to tuck in there maybe soon, or does he wait all the way until the last lap?
They've got to, it's a 3-lapper, remember, so they've both got to go. Look at the way Pastrana uses the berm, so unless he can find a way to stick a pass on Ekstrom, Ekstrom has got this. But remember, yesterday Ekstrom versus Hansen, the racing went on right until that final chicane, so these guys are really going at it. That's the jump which they all love. You jump into the banking, so a fantastic flow to this section of racetrack.
And here you can see Travis is driving way hard into those big berm turns. Here they are in the Joker. You can see the dark gravel. Travis drawing up on the back of Matthias Ekstrom as he left it too late. Whoa! Little bit of contact there again from Travis Pastrana. And Ekstrom has a problem. We see smoke coming.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of smoke there. So I don't know if he's broken the car, if it's just a little bit of contact. It might be where his tire's rubbing. More contact. So yeah, the rear right is pouring smoke of Ekstrom's car. It's in contact with the bodywork.
He's still going to win it. Matthias Ekstrom takes the win over Travis Pastrana. Ekstrom gets the front row in semi-final number 2.
You can see the tire smoke in the car, look. He's happy though, yes.
Oh, they'll get that one fixed, get it out again. The question is now, Sandell, they've got to get that Subaru off the race course and get it fixed. I love the way he cleaned it on camera there. Thank you very much,
Ekstrom's a cool operator, isn't he? He won't miss a second of airtime, him and his sponsors. I'm just going to clean this lens so we can celebrate.
Well, let's take a look at the start again. Like you said, such an even start.
Do you know what's interesting to me here, Tess, is both these races, the guys on the inside line have to take some speed off for that hop jump. So this is the side, we're going to have a look at the side-by-side jump in a second, but see the white chalk line up the middle? That's to give the drivers a sight. If they can't see with the amount of dust, it gives them a sighting line for the takeoff.
Travis Pastrana was coming straight through this side-by-side jump, though. The two Subarus, just fantastic. We've really got to figure out here, was it contact here? There, maybe that's what the problem was. You can see Sandell slows
front
down.
right's down immediately. Sandell's front right is already at that. Or no, maybe not.
Maybe it comes
next corner.
No, this is the jump again.
Sorry, another angle. Yeah,
another angle. But watch
for the contact on Sandell's front right. He's in the far car. Bang. Just a little tap, and you can see it's collapsed already. You see the way the wheel is leaning over inside the arch. So, and now you can see the car's collapsed and he's sitting down on the dirt. So that's
Travis
a shame.
Pastrana is so high on that bank. He calls them the Talladega berms. Look at this again. Travis driving into the back of Matthias Ekstrom. I think that may have what caused that tire rub that we saw. But Travis is pushing him all the way around this track. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I like that. The 2016 World Rallycross champion, not perturbed by the contact though. He's had a bit.
Not even a bit.
No, and holds on, really well. I found out that car is absolutely brand new. The car that Ekstrom's team sold to a Belgian racing team and then have rented back from them. Yeah, it's a brand new 2017 spec car. It was chassis number 5 and it had never been used. What an event to debut.
So Travis Pastrana isn't going to get that front row. Matthias Ekstrom is. We will have semi-finals of NRX when we come back to Nitro World Games. Welcome back, everyone, to Nitro Rallycross from the Utah Motorsports Campus here in Utah, the state of sport. We are through our challenger rounds, and now, Andrew, we're moving on to the semifinals. 4 drivers in each semi, 4 laps. That's going to be pretty exciting compared to what we've already seen. I mean, we've had 3 drivers, 3 laps now. We're 4 drivers, 4 laps. What's the scenario in these semis?
We've just seen that side-by-side jump, the fantastic side-by-side jump with the 2 Subarus. You know, when we're getting 4 cars in here now, Joker lap is really going to come into play. So everybody has to do 1 Joker lap, and they're going to start to use it really tactically. They're going to need their spotters, the guys who are down there on the pit wall, saying to them whether they're clear or not and when to take the Joker. So expect the guys who don't win the start to take the Joker early to give themselves some space.
You know what I think is really going to be key here is that you've got now 4 drivers, and so there's potentially 4 guys who will want to go off that big jump, which means we've seen side by side now. We just saw the 2 Subarus do it in the last heat, but can you imagine there's 4 guys
Full
going,
grid.
and there are really literally only 2 takeoff spots on that thing, so it's going to be critical trying to figure that out. Or do you also play some strategy and you decide to take the lower route because there's going to be carnage over the jump?
So that's what Ekstrom did, and I'm not actually surprised to see him do that. So Ekstrom was very careful. In that first lap, when he knew the 3 cars were close together, he did not take the big jump. He went for low risk, and in fact, of course, when there was a bit of contact behind him, that was okay. But it did look like the quicker line. It was only the 2 Subarus ran high, so he ended up getting the low line.
If you look at that story, out of the 6 cars that were in the Challenger races, 4 of them actually sustained some damage and have gone back into the pit area, and they've been fixing these cars. So hopefully everyone can get the cars repaired, get them out for their semis, and we're looking forward to the semifinals. Todd, this is just getting crazier and crazier as we go.
Absolutely. We're talking about the Pastrana Hammer versus the Ekstrom Surgical Precision. All right, well, one thing all these guys have in common is the Yokohama tires that are providing them grip. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Drew Dayton. I'm Motorsports Manager for Yokohama Tire. The Yokohama Advan AO54 is the official tire of Nitro Rallycross, and it's actually the spec tire, so every competitor will be on the exact same tire. The Advan AO54 is our Rallycross tire, developed specifically for Rallycross, has an FIA-approved tread pattern, ultra-stiff construction, high-grip compound to take everything the Rallycross cars have to throw at it. From the 100-foot jump to the all-wheel drive 600 horsepower standing starts of Nitro Rallycross, the AO54 was developed to perform.
Well, that last race, that is pretty much what it's all about right now. I mean, jeez, 2 cars going off that thing at the same time. There's literally no place to go. You can't make mistakes. You saw Ekstrom come in. Also, that race with Tanner Faust. Bucky, talk me through some of these highlights and lowlights of those races.
No one was slowing down here for braking zone. Everyone was going in hot here. Tanner was expecting to kind of dip in and take the inside. His spotter cleared him, and I believe Arpin probably got the same thing in his ear.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Arpin was way ahead in that. Speed knew he was going to get the advantage on the big jump. They came into that first turn at the same time. Unfortunately, there was contact and damaged both of their cars.
Well, incidental contact does happen here in Rallycross, but this
is
race...
a beautiful move right here. Travis Pastrana on the outside in turn 1, and then double over the jump with his teammate, Patrick Sendell.
That was so gnarly. And just watch the Swedish Precision on the inside. Takes the inside of that corner and just bumps his way out in front. But check it out right here, the snowplow Pastrana trying to push Ekstrom out of the line right there.
Basically, after the Audi got positioned there, it was bumping the entire rest of the race. It was incredible how many times these guys made contact over the next 2 laps.
And obviously Ekstrom right there, getting it through, getting the win. Tons of vulcanized, burned up rubber in the cockpit with him. Unbelievable. Tons more to come here from Nitro Rallycross. Chrissy, you've got the Swede down there. Tell me what's going on in the paddock.
Yes, I do. Mateus, what a race. What we talked earlier, we talked about going up against the Subaru teammates, and all 3 of you were fighting for the race win. I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I mean, the start, I didn't have the best one again, so I could see Travis had a good one on the right and Patrick on the inside, so they actually beat me into turn 1. Then they went for the big gap jump. I took the tabletop. Then after the tabletop into the corner, I thought I'd keep it tight, not to do what Steerball Arpin did. So I tried to keep it tight, and then they tangled a bit. I managed to pass them both. Then just 3-4 corners later, Travis was on fire, I think it was, and he was just banging doors, and we were full sideways, and that was a race.
Yes, it was, and it looks like your crew is working hard to fix up some damage you sustained during that.
Yeah, I mean, the car is pretty strong, can take some beating, so for sure, next hit, I guess, will be again a very hard battle, but I look forward to it.
Unfazed and ready to race, I'd say, guys.
All right, thank you. Well, we're going to take a closer look at Mattias Ekström and the Audi AS1 Quattro.
My name is Mattias Ekström. I'm from Sweden and I'm a professional racing driver doing the FIA World Rallycross Championship. For me, the most interesting with racing in general is the combination of teamwork, the technical side, engineering, and the strive for perfection. Try and get an advantage in terms of setup of the car and combine this with my own driving style. I think the biggest importance of the team is your spotter, because he's in your ears and coach me through the race. But then once you come back to the garage, don't have to say, because rallycross you use the material pretty hard, so the mechanics are really key that they sort everything out in the shortest time. And in any motorsport category, you cannot pick one which is more valuable than another, because in the end everybody has to do a perfect job to be able to win the race.
All right, well, we're going to have to see if Team Audi and Ekström can keep up the good work here. But we had an amazing award given out today by Yokohama, the Yokohama Go Strong Award for the person who's been pushing it out here. But right there, that jump is going to be the great equalizer out here today. And as Tess alluded to, you get 4 people going into that thing. It is going to be heavy. And right now, we're going to go to Christy with the Yokohama Go Strong Award.
Right, let's find out a little bit more about the Yokohama Go Strong Award. Yokohama Tire put up $5,000 to the driver that put themselves on the line, both testing themselves and the car that they were driving. We saw some amazing racing yesterday, and here to present the award today, Fardad Niknam from Yokohama Tire. What an awesome opportunity.
I appreciate that. We are thrilled to be official tire of Nitro Rallycross. This is our 2nd year of partnership with Nitro World Game, and it's great to be key part of this next evolution. We are looking forward for 2019. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, and like I said, we saw some great racing yesterday, but the driver that really stood out to Yokohama Tire was Mattias Ekström, taking home that $5,000. Mattias, congratulations. What a cool opportunity.
Thank you. I must say, it's the first time I got a prize for being rewarded by good racing. So I really had a good time. And the race with Timmy Hansen, I think, was pretty entertaining. Even though I didn't come out as the winner, I think we put on a really good show, and today we have another chance.
All right, well, best of luck in racing today. You've got more to come. We know that for sure. Thank you guys so much. Guys?
Well, good show is an understatement. We're going to have much more here from Utah. This is Nitro Rallycross. Stick around. Nitro World Games getting things heated up here. You're watching Nitro Rallycross on Velocity. Welcome back to Nitro Rallycross here from Utah, and we have seen some crazy action go down, and we have it all set up for the semis now. We've seen some great racing, but now things tend to get a little bit more interesting. Boys, we've got a lot more cars riding this course today, and it's starting to get a lot more tense into these corner situations. Bucky, being a driver and experiencing what it's like to come into a corner 4 deep, I mean, what's it like out there?
You're wondering where are you going to gain it? You know, like how deep can you go? And then there's contact, you know, and then you're fighting. At that point, you're just fighting to kind of break loose from the contact or just benefit, like not be the beneficiary. You know, you want to benefit. You don't want to smash your stuff up too bad, but
wow,
some good racing.
All right, Chris, here's semifinal number 1. What do you like out of this group of guys?
Well, I'm a big believer in Timmy Hansen. I think he's just so cool, calm, and collected. He knows his race strategy. He is not going to take the big jump. He's going to be quick where he needs to be quick, and the results show that he's accomplishing that goal. What's going to be interesting is essentially in the Challenger races, there were 2-car races because one got knocked out pretty early. Now you got 4 cars per race.
All right, and here's semifinal number 2. Bucky, who do you like out of this?
Well, looking at Scott Speed, he's been really fast all weekend. Matthias, he's fast, of course. Travis.
Bit of a rematch, though. Extra and Pastrana. A little grudge match going on in between this?
Lined up between each other. I mean, last time they got off the line pretty good, so we'll see if Travis gets the inside or outside.
Well, there is no doubt that we're going to have some crazy excitement coming up here in these semis. A lot more aggressive driving going on right now. As you see the course right there, there is the Joker lap in a much different surface than the rest of the course. Now, over on Team Subaru's paddock right now, Chris Atkinson getting ready to get his semifinal underway here. A lot of pressure for him. Before we get into these semifinals, let's take a look at what Chris Atkinson, Atco, has got going on through his head before a race.
Chris Atkinson, drive for Subaru Rally Team USA from the Gold Coast, Australia. We've got the WRX turned into basically an extreme rallycross car, over double the power of the road car. You can send it over massive jumps like Travis has built behind us, and hopefully land it okay. Wicked fun to drive, 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. Epic, and then you put 6 cars on the track and it's mayhem. Everyone's competitive, that's the good thing. Although the field's not massive here, everyone here is a top level driver. The competition's going to be pretty hard, pretty difficult. Obviously the European guys are quick, coming straight out of the World Championship. Every team is going to be fast, so it's going to be close racing, and I think the two adapt quickly to the track and their setup will come out on top.
Chris Atkinson right there, obviously very, very aggressive. You saw that rollover. I mean, Bucky, have you been in a fairly decent, rollover or crash in a rally race?
I've taken some hits, but I've been able to save it there. There was no way of saving it. He just got pushed on the inside, rolled over on the tires.
Well, it definitely gives you an idea out here, Chris, of like what the stakes are. All these guys are going to be pushing, trying to get into that first corner to get out in front and take the lead, keep the dust out of you. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, Atco said it right there. All these guys out here are experienced. All of them are accomplished. All of them are alphas. All these guys want to take that top spot, and they're going to be trying to fill that gap as quickly as they can.
And that's one thing, too. You got to take into consideration is like you have all these ideas in your head of the way to find the perfect line. It kind of all goes out the window when you just put it in animal mode as soon as the green lights flash.
Yeah, and the perfect line isn't necessarily going to be there because 3 other guys are trying to beat you to that spot.
And plus, you've got the big jump coming into play, Bucky.
You're not all gonna fit.
Nope.
You're just not gonna fit.
Square peg, round hole. Let's go down to Christy with Travis Pastrana and see what's going on with him.
All right, guys, so Travis had to hop in, get ready to go, but he did have to take a brief intermission after that last run because he chipped his tooth. He said it wasn't a steering wheel helmet thing, it was actually teeth to teeth. So he's okay now. He's got the mouth guard in, ready to go, unfazed by it. I'm sure that's not the first time he's had an injury like that, guys. Come on, all those motocross years.
Well, you're not having fun till someone chips a tooth. That's what my mom always said. Well, Travis Pastrana is going to be back out there. And let's check it out here. This is the potential chip toothing incident. Look at this right here. Doubles over that jump. 2 guys, 1 jump. Oh my gosh, Bucky.
Here they get into it. Yeah, here into the next turn. There was no one giving. They gave each other room, you know, and there's no rules at Subaru as far as like who gets the right to go.
Right.
Travis just.
Yeah, I think what might have happened there is that Travis was in the right-hand lane, and he's used to taking that high bank, so he was going for that high line, and then the Audi tried to cut in underneath him, and there was a little bit of contact there, but you know what? Good part is they both were able to finish the race.
You do have to rotate. You have to rotate the car, though, so I think that would happen. What happened was,
look at him right here.
Travis
pointing.
rotated.
I chipped my tooth.
Yeah, Sandell had to rotate.
That is the least of his injuries ever. I mean, come on, let's be honest. He's broken pretty much everything.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Tess, Andrew, let's get some more racing going on. Enough of us yammering up here in the booth.
Thanks, Todd. It's not an event unless someone chips a tooth, Andrew.
I read Pastrana's biog the other day, and he snapped everything. Everything's been snapped. But he's actually only got one piece of metal in him from all the injuries. He's got one piece of metal in him, but he's now going to have a filling.
But it does make
so,
you think when you're going over a jump this big and you're landing aggressively like Travis is. I mean, mouth guard might be a smart choice.
So Ken wears a mouth guard, but actually Ken clattered his jaw when he took one of the big jumps on day one, and that was when they realized they were having some problems with the Focus RS. You can see his teammate Arpin there not taking the big jump. So he clattered his jaw when the front of the car bounced off the road, and that really hurts if you catch your jaw on something and you clatter your teeth together. That's what's happened to Travis too. So yeah, this is an extreme course. Teeth injuries, they're pretty unusual in rallycross.
So here we are, we're getting set now out on the track for semi-final number one. You can see the back of the Quattro of
Ekstrom.
That's Ekstrom sitting out there. This is a lot of prep going on here, and actually if you look at this, Arpin is in semi number one. Ekstrom's actually in semi-final number two, so he's out to the grid early. Now the important thing about the semi-finals now, obviously the grid position in the final race of 8 cars.
Absolutely. Now this is an onboard which is quite familiar to me from the World Championship. If you watch Hansen just before the race starts, he will start actually hammering on his own legs with his fists, and he'll get himself really pumped up in the car. He shouts some stuff in Swedish normally because, as you say, this is crunch time test. They've got to do the best they can here to get as far up the grid as they can. It's a 2-3-3 grid in the final, so the winners of each of the semi-finals will be on the front row. That's a big advantage.
And you saw there the fresh face, 26-year-old Timmy Hansen from Sweden. He is going to be up. This is going to be, I think, a very interesting semi-final because Chris Atkinson, for me, he's the dark horse. I said he was the Australian shark in the water here because very surprising. He hit the jump early in practice. He had no fear whatsoever. He's the teammate of Travis Pastrana, so whether he's getting any kind of team information from him. But his racing has just been on point. That car has really done well through all of this racing. But now Tanner Faust, he's repaired, he's back. We know the VWs are fast.
Yeah, Faust, they're warming up the brakes. You could see just going from the outside camera to the onboard one. You see left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas. A little bit of left and right with the steering, and then also just loading up the wheel. Remember, I say the guys who went straight through, and of course I don't think Faust was one of those. He wasn't. But like Hansen, they get 28 tyres for the weekend, so they've got tons of tyres. But the guys who went straight through are probably managing to, be on a brand new set of tyres now.
So here we are. We're setting up. This is the first 4-car race we'll see, and it's also 4 laps. So we're increasing the number of laps. They're going to line up, I believe in this one, it's 2 and 2, right?
Yeah,
so
it is, yeah. So Hansen's on the pole because he went through.
What dictates that choice here?
So yesterday, Hansen and Atkinson, at the end of play yesterday, there was a top 3 went through. You remember it was Hansen, Speed, and Atkinson. So Hansen and Atkinson are clearly going to take the front row. Timmy gets first choice because he was the number 1 qualifier, so he's gone for the pole on the inside. Here he is, look, eyeballing Atkinson and the marshals just across the way. So keep watching Timmy because you'll see him will get all fired up in a minute. And then on the next row, you've got Faust and Arpin. So it was Faust who beat Arpin in the previous race, so Faust will get to decide. Yes, Timmy, good lad. Quick look out the window, spotted himself on the onboard. This is a thing now. If you see yourself on the onboard, you've got to do something cool. And he's looking out to the left. He's actually looking at the big screen, which is opposite us. And the drivers sometimes use the big screens to clock where the other drivers are on the track. So they're taking in so much information. And right now they're taking in a ton of adrenaline as well.
So here we see Tanner Faust is tucking in right behind. And here, the credit to these teams. Faust, crash damaged, ready. Arpin, crashed badly damaged, taken out there on the transporter. and he is ready to go. So I think it's huge. It shows you what these rallycross teams can do in such a short space of time.
Yeah, they turn the cars around so fast. You know, the guys in the garage there's no limit, I think, here on the number of people that can work on the car. We actually saw a couple of Speeds guys working on Faust cars while you guys were away at commercial break. We could see them all over the car, but looking forward to this.
And here you are, your grid is set. Timmy Hansen has that inside line on the front row. Chris Atkinson in the blue and white Subaru next to him.
There he goes.
He's punching it.
Yeah, there he goes. He'll start shouting in a minute.
It's like a one-man MMA contest.
Yeah.
Tanner Faust, by comparison, very, very calm. And then Steve Arpin, the far left of your screen there. 4-car race, 4 laps. The Joker has to be taken once in those 4 laps. Let's see the strategy. Racing when we go green.
Amazing start by Arpin on the last row. Trying to come around the outside of Atkinson. A little bit of contact between them. Atkinson's carrying the most speed, but he's gone in there really hot. And I think Timmy's going to get the whole shot. So Timmy gets the whole shot. Little tap from behind from Atkinson.
Atkinson was trying to actively block Arpin there. Oh, there's a crowd of them going now for the big jump.
3 have gone jump, so it's Arpin who's gone low. Timmy Hansen took that jump 9 times in practice this morning, Tess. He didn't take it once in racing yesterday. He's ready to win this.
I was watching the landing. Both Timmy Hansen and Chris Atkinson landed on the front of the car. They were going very fast, and Tanner Faust landed smoothly. But look at this.
Yeah, Hansen taking the option line there. We spoke about it earlier on. Look at the damage as well. The rear right of Hansen's car from that contact down in turn 1. But he took the option line, which is no jumps. The jump line on that back section of the track, in theory, is faster. It takes you nice and wide. It uses the full track width. He decided in the Peugeot not to. Joker for Tanner Faust on lap 1.
And for Steve Arpin. So Arpin and Faust have both taken the Joker.
And that's what I said earlier on. If you lose the start, you might as well Joker early. Give yourself a bit of space, and then you start to chase the lap times of the guys in front. Now, if Timmy thought he was under pressure here, or Atco, they may respond by jokering immediately to give them less laps to catch up. I suspect they'll wait until later in the race.
Problem for Arpin in the back there. It looks like it may be the front of the car again.
So Arpin's on a go slow. That's going to see him on the back row of the grid for the final. Timmy taking the big jump again.
Smoother, no, still left hand down there. Atco much smoother this second time over.
So great chat with Timmy earlier on. He'd been to Subaru and was super impressed by how friendly they were. Travis had talked him through everything to do with the big jump. Bear in mind, he's never done anything like this before. They were super cool with him. He spoke to Sandell as well, and they were speaking about takeoff speed. So they've actually got a button on the wheel with a set RPM, and he will hit the jump at 71 miles an hour in 3rd gear. He said, we've also got one for 73, he said, but I don't think we need it with how far we're flying at 71.
Well, looking at what he's doing there, he definitely doesn't need it. Okay, there you are. Atco decides to take the Joker. Is he going to come out ahead of Faust?
Just.
Wow.
Good decision. So if he'd waited another lap there, Faust was closing him down, and that's what I mean about responding. You either respond immediately if you think they're going to gain on you, or you wait if you think you're going to gap them. His spotter said, look, Faust's gaining, you need to Joker now. So Atkinson holds on to the position. He'll try to be there at the end of the race and take a second row in the final.
Tanner closing in, though, on the back of Chris Atkinson. And any contact between these two will allow Timmy Hansen to gain a bigger advantage. So here we go, lining up to take the big jump. They're both going to take it side by side, I would think. Look at this.
Going to be close. Faust in behind. Fair bit of dust. Look at that nose heavy for the Atkinson Subaru. Faust going to have a look up the inside and the banking. So Faust taking the low line. Atkinson's going high. Bit of pressure between these two. Remember, the further up the grid you are in the final, the better launch you're going to get down to turn 1. Faust takes the option line on the inside. Atkinson takes the jump line. Not a lot in
that case, it definitely was a fast line over the jumps. Question is whether Timmy Hansen is ducking into the Joker. Yes, he is. So Hansen coming through the Joker. Where will he come out? We don't just see Chris Atkinson coming round the corner there. So Hansen
with a tidy lead, you know,
very comfortable.
6.6 seconds at the start of this lap. Check the timing top left of your screen, and you can see with 6.6 ahead. So Hansen now, you know, in theory he could save the car if he wants to not take the big jump, because the lap time difference is around 1 second.
And but the winner, the fastest race, the winner of that fastest race will get the inside pole position in the final. So Hansen still needs to push as fast as he possibly can. Oh, Faust makes a mistake on the turn, goes into the tires, and that's not what he was looking for. Now he knows he's got to go for the bottom option line because he pushed himself out.
Yeah, he got hooked up on that first corner. It's a tightening long left-hander. It's really tricky corners like that. You want to get in deep on the brakes, but if you're going too deep, you're trying to get the car rotated around that tight apex. He just got it turned in a tiny bit too early. Luckily, the tyres test, you could see, weren't tied down, so he just dragged them away.
And of all the drivers, I mean, Tanner Faust has so much skill in drifting where he's used to coming close to these obstacles sideways and not making mistakes. So, bit of a surprise, but mistakes like that are what cost you these races. Meanwhile, Timmy Hansen in that Peugeot working his way through to the checkered flag.
Yeah, good drive by the young Swede. You know, we knew he was quick yesterday, took the top qualifier spot. Speed won both the sessions, but thanks to his practice run as well, look how relaxed he looks. He was able to take the top qualifier spot test without taking the jump. He took it 9 times in practice. He's just taken it 4 times in the race, so he's done 13 jumps today. Timmy puts up a slot on the front row of the grid, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
So Timmy Hansen wins semi-final number 1. He's going to have to wait for the end of semi-final 2 to see if he's fastest and gets the inside pole position in the final. More racing coming up from Utah Motorsports Campus Nitro Rallycross. Come on back.
you so much for not going anywhere because
Welcome back, everyone, to the ballet of chaos that is Nitro Rallycross. You're watching the start of semi-final number 1. Timmy Hansen trying to lead him in, but Chris Atkinson taking the wide line round the outside.
Yeah, Atco went too deep, didn't he? Saw just a little bit of contact between him and Timmy. He tried the big send around the outside. Here it is, look. A little bit of nudge left, right, but Hansen gets the whole shot and went straight to the big jump line, as did Faust. It was only the one car that took the standard line off the first lap. And look at the dust. You can see why you don't want to follow over that, Tess.
And here you're following on board with Tanner Faust over that massive jump, nose in from Hansen and Atkinson, and then another dust storm as you go around the berm.
Yeah, it's just roost everywhere, isn't there? Look at it. You know, I love that. As you see the cars go, it's like they're being shot out of a cloud of dirt, isn't it, when they come off that big top jump.
So Timmy Hansen gets himself the lead, really never looks back. And then it became a battle for second place between Tanner Faust and Chris Atkinson.
Yeah, Faust jokered early, and that was a good move by him to try to give himself some space. Look at the Peugeot flying through the air there. Left side down on the front, that's because the wind has changed direction, so it affects the way the cars fly through. But yeah, Tanner went into the Joker lap and came out close behind Atkinson, but this look is where he got hooked up on the tyres and just pulled him in, and that gave Atkinson a bit of breathing space on the last lap.
A little bit of mistake. Tanner has to take the low line, allows Atco to get that air. Look at this, jumping over the top of Tanner Faust going into that turn. So Atkinson would be able to hang on for that second place, but this race was all about the Swede Timmy Hansen.
Yeah, great drive by Timmy. Yo, he's won World Championship events. He's a factory driver with Peugeot in the World Championship. Played his cards very cleverly this weekend, and it's on the line now today.
So Hansen wins that one. He has to wait for the result of this semi-final to find out if he is the fastest and will actually get P1 in the finals. And for more on Timmy, let's go down to Christy Lee.
Timmy, you were looking strong coming into the semis. You got to sit back and watch until the semis, of course, and you performed as well going out there just recently. Congrats, sitting in a good spot again.
Yeah, that was a great run. You know, it's quite nice to be out in front, and I was able to do my own thing. This track is amazing, so I had, you know, it's crazy to drive out there. I got some small damage on the rear. I don't know if you can see that, but the guys are working, but the car will be all ready for the final.
I'm sure you guys will get it dialed in time. Best of luck going back out there. Timmy Hansen.
So much fun that the Swedes are now becoming action sports athletes. Timmy Hansen, Matthias Ekström, and Ekström there sitting on the grid. You can see right next to Scott Speed in the front of our semi-final number 2.
Yeah, Speed versus Ekström down to turn 1. Audi versus Volkswagen. You know, these two guys don't hold back. Speed's not a big fan of contact. Ekström won't mind handing a bit out. Pastrana on the inside, but Tess, you spotted a clever move by Sandell.
Yeah, Patrick Sandell has taken the far outside position. Look at Travis, he's still feeling his chip too.
If ever you've chipped a tooth, you'll know you can't resist feeling it with your tongue the whole time. He's oh man, how bad is that? He's just having just a little lick of the teeth to see. I'm surprised he hasn't got a guarded. Speed's got his glasses on. So he's put his glasses on for this one. Don't always see him racing with those.
Yeah, very calm, as is.
So that looks like earlier on. Yeah, no, that's earlier on from Tanner. Yeah, so.
But I mean, compare the two Volkswagen guys. I have to say, both of these guys are so calm. Matthias Ekström, though, he just looks like a bundle of energy ready to unleash.
Look at the size of the handbrake in this thing. Watch for the Audi at the start. It squats really, really low before it takes off.
And watch for Patrick Sandell on the outside, trying to get around these guys on the first corner.
Good start by Ekström, but Speed hooked it up as well. All these guys, and Ekström goes wide straight away to try and avoid the jump. Look, Sandell takes the jump. Ekström's going to try and rotate that nose in. Speed's up the inside of him. Ekström's been mugged there. He's going to drop down the third.
Actually, that was fascinating. Sandell was playing strategy all the way through. Meanwhile, Travis is like, you know what? These guys are too busy. I'm going under. They can all go over.
This is the time where Pastrana's made a good decision there, although he has actually lost out. There was so much going on that inside line that he was hoping to capitalise from maybe a bit of contact with these guys. It hasn't worked out this time. He ends up P4.
But we talked about how once we got 4 cars on this track and more laps, that strategy was going to play a much bigger part, and certainly we're seeing it. I love the fact that Patrick Sandell is drawn so close to Speed.
I'll tell you what, if Sandell and Speed don't joke, I reckon Ekström will, and he hasn't this time, but in the background Pastrana has. So one of the two guys at the rear I knew would go, and Pastrana is the first to do it. So he feels he's quicker than Ekstrom, and he'll hope now that in that clean air. Oh, he's going to tap the wall if he's not careful. Pastrana was really wide. We didn't see if he tapped the wall or not, but so wide there, Tess.
Oh, Travis Pastrana hanging it out. He's still going, which is good news. Remember, you have to take the Joker once per race. No, Travis going really wide there off the tarmac. So I wonder if Travis has a problem.
I can't see from the commentary box. I looked out the window there to see if there's any damage. We just cut away as I thought he was going to clip the wall. If there's any damage, it would be rear left. So I wonder if he's in for a bit of a wild ride for these laps.
Here we go, Speed over the jump, followed by Sandell, and then Ekstrom, who's closing on Sandell in the air.
Pastrana's taken the jump as well, unseen by you guys, so he's obviously feeling confident there's no damage on the car, and Ekstrom is now all over the back of Sandell. Ekstrom needs space here. He's either got to pass him or take the Joker.
He got him!
Yeah.
Oh, problem again for Sandell. He's pulling off.
Oh. So Sandell maybe with more damage off to the side. You can really see the blue groove here, Tess, where the dirt actually starts to rubber in. So Ekstrom's gone Joker. Has he in the background? Has he gone Yokohama Joker or not? There's Sandell pulled off the side of the circuit.
Oh no, that's bad news again for Subaru. Ekstrom coming out of the Joker ahead of Travis Pastrana, so he's held onto his position. Meanwhile, Scott Speed has put a lot, and I mean a lot of distance between himself and Mattias Ekstrom. And again, Scott Speed still has to take the Joker.
Yeah, he's going to have to do that.
He's got a good advantage.
Yeah, Ekstrom was fairly close, but I didn't see just quite how close. So now Speed that runs a little bit high up the berm on the inside is going to cost him some traction. He's going to take the big jump anyway. Watch this. Here we go. You can hear the car almost on the limiter as he goes over the jump and up into that berm. So he'll either respond now if they feel Ekstrom is faster. He will Joker now to protect the position. If Speed feels he's faster, he'll wait until the last lap.
And Scott Speed, really not a big fan of these jumps, but he's really come into his own, as did Mattias Ekstrom, and Speed is riding that jump beautifully, very smoothly, and that's why he's managing to gain so much advantage as we go through the lap.
Speed's gone Yokohama Joker on this one to protect the line. You can see in the background he's going to come out clearly in front of Mattias Ekstrom, so it's a great drive by Speed. He's had a great season this year. He's leading the Americas Rallycross Championship with a couple of wins. So, and look at the advantage again when you're leading. You've got a clear screen. Look how clean the Beetle is compared to the dust that we were seeing, the storm of dust that Ekstrom was driving through, chasing him down.
And we know that it was a problem yesterday with dust getting inside these cars.
It's impressive, isn't it, Speed? You know, look at the disciplines he's done in the past. They could not be more different from Rallycross. Yeah, you say about the jumps, everything he's done, the technical racing disciplines he's done, where it's inch perfect, total opposite of Rallycross, but yeah, he's doing a brilliant job of being as inch perfect as you could be on a mixture of dirt and tarmac, and yeah, he brings that circuit racing style of super consistent laps to Rallycross, and he's doing a great job here.
And there you see that onboard Scott Speed working that car. And as smooth as they make it look, you can see just how you're rattled around in these cars. And it really, it's so physically hard. It really abuses you.
Yeah, there's no rest from driving the car. And mark my words, these are incredibly physical cars to drive anyway. Then you've got the jump, so you've got the physical impact of that. You got, yeah, so Speed's got a rear left puncture. Great spot by Tess. He's got a rear left puncture. Can he hold on to the line? Ekstrom's going to try and chase him down.
Oh, Ekstrom knows now. He sees the blood, he smells it, he's going for it. Ekstrom trying to catch him. I don't think it's going to be enough. Scott Speed with a rear puncture is going to take the win, barely over Mattias Ekstrom. Great driving from Speed with the problem.
Speed, though, 5 seconds slower than Timmy Hansen. Did that puncture cost him the choice of pole position, because the faster semi was going to get the choice, and that means that the guys from semi-final 1 are going to get the choice of their grid slot on each row.
And you look at the chaos here. In turn 1, Patrick Sandell trying to sneak up the inside. Then they all go nose to tail, getting ready for the big jump. Travis Pastrana says, having none of that. Watch this. Pastrana under, Speed over.
So good.
I mean, 3 cars, nose heavy for the Subaru and the Peugeot. And unfortunately, that gamble didn't work for Pastrana. And just Scott Speed trying to stay in front through this whole thing. Pastrana taking that Joker early and almost tags. Wow, he was close.
He did well, didn't he? Good lad. So has Speed got the puncture at this point or not? Now, this is earlier in the race. At this point, he's okay. But what we've been finding is the guys have been pushing the tyre off the rim by hitting the berms and things too hard. Broken rear suspension there. Was that contact with Ekstrom in the previous turn, maybe?
It could have been, because we saw by the time he entered that section, he was going fully sideways, already broken. And there, the architect, as you called him, Travis Pastrana, hitting again hard on that front left. No wonder he's chipping teeth. He's got to be careful of that.
That jump was so big. That's crazy, you know.
Look at this shot on the Talladega berm. Scott Speed taking that VW sideways and then pouring on the power as soon as he straightens it up.
This was right at the end of the race, look, and by now Ekstrom, as Tess said, could smell the blood. Speed doing his very best to hold on here, and he's lucky that the run down to the line just includes that one kick right, so takes the pressure off the rear right, which was the tyre which he'd knocked off the rim, and he takes the win. There he is.
He's just sitting in the car. He's going to drive it in there, get the guys to change that rear, and obviously they'll give that car a full once-over with the VW Andretti team, and here we are. The results.
Yeah, Hansen look with the fastest time. That's going to mean that the guys from his semi-final will get the chance to choose which side of the grid they want to go on. DNF's for Sandell and Arpin, but they'll go through to the final at the very back. And 8 cars out here. What do you think about that?
8 cars. It's 6 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be
insane.
We're increasing the amount of carnage and chaos out there. I suspect Sandell and Arpin will be back for that final. The team's working furiously in the paddock. Look at this jump. And then another jump over the top. That's what we have for you in store during our finals of Nitro Rallycross. It's coming up on Velocity when we return. Welcome back, everyone, to Nitro World Games and Nitro Rallycross, and the disappointment here of Patrick Sendell, who twice in 2 races has now DNF'd mechanically out of the race. And you can see there, very unhappily watching the eventual winner, Scott Speed, driving past him. And otherwise, a great race for Speed. Sendell, though, he started well, but then obviously problems happening as we came into this rhythm section.
Yeah, and it didn't look to me like there was too much contact there really at all. The barest, merest of glances in the previous turn, and yeah, you don't want to watch a race on the sidelines.
So Sendell out, but Speed takes the win, and he's down with Christy Lee.
Scott, strong race for you out there, and you were able to maintain the lead and take the win in that semi, even with a rear punctured tire. Congrats.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those good news, bad news kind of things. Good news, we were able to still win, running the last lap on 3 tires. The bad news is, pretty sure that's going to let it make a start on the outside of the front row for the final, but car's really fast. Looking forward to racing Timmy. I don't know if I've actually ever raced him before, so we'll see how nice he is by the time we get to the first corner. But it was an exciting race. I mean, Travis made it super exciting on trying to make a move on the very inside, which jumbled us all up. So it was a lot of fun. We'll see. The final, I'm sure, is going to be exciting.
This has been an incredible weekend with an incredible track, to say the least.
Yeah, the track's amazing. I think Travis hit it out of the park. This is certainly Rallycross 2.0. This is the future of the sport, I think, and I'm having a great time doing it.
More to come from Scott Speed. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. Well, guys, we just saw an insane semifinal number 2 go down. Now we have the final set, but let's talk about some of the highlights that we saw. Chris, I'm going to start with you. What's your takeaway moment? What's your big exclamation point from that last semifinal?
Well, I mean, probably Travis's landing on the big jump in lap 3. It was unbelievable. I mean, if his teeth got rattled in his previous race, they definitely got rattled right there. I'm glad he had his mouth guard in. Just incredible. These cars are taking a lot of abuse, but the guys in the paddock are buttoning them back up, and I'm sure they're all going to be back out there for the final.
And Bucky, what's your takeaway from it? I mean, we're seeing a lot of technical racing. Is aggression really paying off here today?
I don't know. It's paying off as far as damage to the cars. I see a lot of hitting from behind. It's a pretty aggressive race going on right here. But my favorite is turn 1. I love it.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look right now at some highlights. Talk me through this, guys. We're seeing a lot of crazy. Look at the outside
got a
line
great
here.
jump on the outside there, but Akko just closed the door on him and sent it sideways. Hansen on the inside there had the line. Decided to go under the short jump.
I'm sure Tanner was just feeling like there was chaos out there. You know, he's used to being in control of these races. He seemed to be out of control. We see him hitting the tires right there, making a big mistake that cost him time in the race.
I'll tell you what, that little Peugeot is ripping today. We saw him earlier in practice. Hadn't hit the jump yesterday. This morning, over and over and over again. And every single time he would hit the jump, there was a lot of wind this morning. He would buck that car sideways in the air. So he's definitely playing to win.
He was not even taking the jump until today.
And obviously, you know, he was saving his car for today. You know, the suspension parts taking a beating every time he takes that jump. But he took it 3 of the 4 laps in that semifinal race, and it paid off for him.
And just checked out.
Yeah, here you go. Scott Speed out in front, really making a bid to stay out in front, stay in the clear air, not have all that dirt. But you see just how rapid fire these guys are going over that big jump, and it's got to be nerve-wracking.
Those Beetles are flying the best out of all the cars today.
It's amazing how flat they stay in the air on that gap jump. And there's a reason that they call Scott Speed the surgeon. He is in control out there. He's racing very well.
Well, never did you think, until Travis Pastrana came into this now, that you need to have a car that's not only aerodynamic on the ground, but also once you take flight.
Here's the finals right here that we're looking at.
All right, this final is absolutely bonkers. You do not want to miss it. And Christy right now is with a special guest. Who you got, Christy?
Hanging out with a familiar face who...
We are drawing Kenny Keith's 1964 Ranchero. This is kind of what I'm coming up with. What I want to do is actually put a little bit of a spin to the original grille assembly. And right now, there is no grille, so we're gonna basically emulate what, from the original, what we want this one to look like. What I wanna do is I wanna be able to capture all of these lines on the body because they change direction so many times with all of these different facets and they're really cool, dramatic, long lines. We're gonna take this tired old ranch hand truck, the Ranchero, and turn it into a ranch hero. Oh.
Bitchin' Rides. Watch the season premiere early on October 2nd, only on the Motor Trend app.
Welcome back to the Utah Motorsports Campus. You are watching the Nitro World Games. We are in the middle of Nitro Rallycross, and Nitro World Games is all about encompassing and pushing the limits of a bunch of different sports. But I've got to say, the one that has always taken center stage is motocross, freestyle motocross, and right here on the quarter pipe, Bucky, you and I have hit some pretty big quarter pipes in our day, myself on snow, you on skateboards. Does this even compare to what we've done?
It mentally destroys my eyeballs watching it.
They're going so big. Can you imagine going 60 feet out on a quarter pipe?
It looks so easy, but so gnarly.
Oh my gosh, and that is coming up very soon after Nitro Rallycross. That is coming up on Facebook Watch. But before we get to that, we're gonna finish up here with Nitro Rallycross. The finals are set. We've got some insane action about to go down. We got a lot of cars on this track coming up right now, and it is going to be gnarly.
I didn't see them water either. I think it's gonna be a little dusty.
Well, we've got a lot of wind blowing out here. It's very, very dry. And something that we haven't really talked about at all is we're at altitude here. A lot of times these guys are running at sea level. How does the altitude play into, you know, like hitting this jump and having to have your engine be at work in perfectly ordered?
Well, I know I talked to Subaru team, and they brought a car out here about 2 weeks ago, and they were doing some testing with cooling and everything. The car came out here, and it was running hot, so they would have had issues.
Right.
So they sorted that out, and you see how good they're running now.
Well, Nitro World Games and Travis Pastrana pushing these guys to the limit. Hey, you guys in the booth, are you guys ready to get this going? Because I'm excited. We're over here just kind of chattering away, but we want to see some racing action.
Well, you're going to get plenty of racing action coming up because now we move to the finals, and that means all 8 cars are going to be on track at the same time for 6 laps. And although Timmy Hansen and Scott Speed, they're on the front row for this one, they got an awful lot of heat coming up right behind them and going into a turn 1 that maybe fits 2 cars.
Yeah, the start's going to be crucial, but partly because of that hop jump. So the optimum line, if this was a normal race, you'd go inside. You know, so for me, Timmy would pick the inside unless he feels it's quicker to miss the hop jump, which we've seen some people do, try to come around the outside. But if there's a car on the inside of you, if they get the traction, if they get the hop jump and they just close the door at turn 1, you want the whole shot. There's 8 cars coming in behind you.
And let's not forget, turn 1 leads you into the massive 100-foot jump. 8 cars going for the tiny little space with this jump. Nitro Rallycross final coming up. Be here. Welcome back, everyone, to Nitro World Games and Nitro Rallycross, and this is it for all the marbles. We are moving into the final. 8 cars on track, 6 laps around this massive Utah Motorsports Campus track. The brainchild of Travis Pastrana, and the most insane part of this Travis's brainchild is, of course, the 100-foot jump, which is our Ripley's Believe It or Not moment. And take a look at this. Travis Pastrana, Patrick Sandell, floating ever so gently, side by side in their team Subarus. And I think if you'd said believe it or not a couple of weeks ago, people would have said, well, probably not. And Travis Pastrana manages to chip it tooth. Oh, you can really see it there, actually. That front tooth is left here in Utah, the state of sport, for posterity. Timmy Hansen is gonna have the pole position, but I don't think this is gonna be quite as easy a start for Timmy as the ones have been before, Andrew.
No, it's certainly not. You know, 8 cars into one, basic down at turn 1. It's a tightening left-hander with that hop jump on the inside. Hansen there was having one of the technicians just make a final adjustment to the mirrors. The mirrors on these cars are tiny and they tend to vibrate a lot with the amount of power they're putting out, so not always that useful, but you'll get a flash of color. So you might see red in the left or in the right and you go, that's Scott, I know where he is, you know, so he's ready.
And speaking of vibrating, this entire venue right now feels like it's vibrating. So many people leaning against every possible fence and rail. They're so excited to see this because we've seen 3 cars on track. We've seen 4 cars on track, and now it's just like we are all in 8 cars.
Let's double it, shall we, to 8 cars, you know? Let's do that. 8 cars down into the first corner.
So let's take a look at our Red Bull track conditions. 82 degrees. The wind, though, has picked up again. It's 16 miles an hour. I've seen gusts in the 20s. So, again, dries this track out, which means there's dust in the air. It gets hard to see. Get dust in the car.
And it affects the way the cars fly as well. So Travis had said, I think they'd hit the jump with wind speeds of more than 20 miles per hour. And depending on whether it's coming from the left or the right, depends on which way the nose dips. You heard the guys down talking earlier on about how Hansen's car was landing on the one wheel when he was taking it in practice this morning. That was because the wind was coming down the valley in one direction. And normally in the afternoon it switches and goes back the other way. But we've seen them all flying it. You know, yeah, they might land a bit on a slight angle. But it's nothing these cars can't handle. Faust in the background, look, with a tyre cleaning, tyre warming exercise. Ekstrom looking like he's got stickers on the car. You can see, if you have a look at the tyre walls, you'll see you can see the Yokohama logos really clear and clean, bright white on all the cars that are on the grid so far already. And that suggests to me, Tess, that all these guys have saved a brand new set of boots ready for the final.
Well, Sandell, we saw him pull off the grid a little earlier. For more on that, let's drop down to Christy Lee.
Yeah, that's right, guys. He's missing out there right now, but he will be back very soon. Just found out from his crew he had a bent wheel. Just went back to the pits real quick to swap that out. Should be ready to go for race time, guys.
Oh, thanks on that, Christy. And obviously, Patrick, you can see him there trying to get ready. He DNF'd in his Challenger race. He DNF'd. He did not finish in his semifinal. So he is hoping to get to the back of this grid and make a statement. And what you're saying here, I think, Andrew, was the fact that, look at that.
Yeah, because that's what I mean by a set of stickers.
I would put on a fresh new set of Yokohamas for this, because why not get the maximum out of your tires for all 6 laps of this race?
You want the car to be perfect, you know, and yeah, Sandell's popped back and got a new rim on there. That's probably just bent either from contact or a heavy landing earlier on. You can see them heading up, look, and a little bit of left foot braking to warm things up. The grid's forming up, and now you can start to get an idea of why it's important to be where you want to be on the grid. Yeah, all weekend they've been fighting for the chance to choose a grid slot. The 2 guys are in the prime positions. Timmy Hansen at the front of the grid there in the grey-coloured Peugeot 208 supercar. Next to him, the Volkswagen Andretti Beetle of Scott Speed. They're in the prime position. For me, you need to look out on the second row, the Audi of Ekstrom, and on the outside, look, the Beetle of Faust. Those guys have got the choice of that option line test that we've been talking about, where you miss the jump on the inside, send it. Get on the handbrake, see if you can tighten it up at the apex and get a whole shot in front of the 2 guys on the front row.
So Patrick Sandell rolling up to join them. Timmy Hansen and Scott Speed on the front row. It goes 2, 3, 3. And then you have Chris Atkinson, Matthias Ekstrom, Tanner Faust on the second row. Faust with clean air right now. Look, he's over at the front row, and his teammate Scott Speed in that red, white, and green car.
We've seen people, though, remember, swerve from the inside of the grid to the outside if they've got a good start to avoid that little jump.
And try and block it, yeah. Sandell, Arpin, and Travis Pastrana on the back row. Sandell and Arpin have not finished a race yet. But Travis Pastrana, he is kind of tucked in there because he's got a little bit of air. He sees the back of Timmy Hansen's Peugeot from where he's sitting. And if Chris Atkinson goes and drifts across right,
10-second board is up. Look, they're going through the start procedures now, switching on the anti-lag. The cars will be in gear. Handbrake on, full throttle, revs up.
And the reds come on when they go out. We are racing at green. This is Nitro Rallycross Final.
Epic start from Ekstrom, but he's going to have to move across to the inside, try and defend. Timmy Hansen's going to take the hop jump. Scott Speed gone for the alternate line on the outside. The Peugeot 2 sideways.
Oh,
Hansen's run wide. He's going to drop at least to 4th up the inside. Ekstrom's gone through. He's going to have to take the jump. 4 cars into jump contact.
Spun Speed around. This is what we were talking about. And now Timmy Hansen gets the lead going into the jump with Tanner Faust next to him. And Scott Speed has pulled off.
Speed's out. I thought he was going to have to take the option line there, Tess, and maybe take the tunnel for the first time this weekend, because if you get a nudge on the run up to the jump, you can't fly. He hasn't. Carnage at the start.
And I don't know if I missed
Pastrana's out too.
And Speed's gone over to maybe have a word with Pastrana. Ekstrom, I think, took the bottom line, and he's ahead of Timmy Hansen at the moment. All kinds of chaos, which is kind of what we expected at the start of this final.
It was. Hansen got hot into turn 1 and managed to get the car just a little bit too sideways. He got a nudge there, so this is going to be a serious race now. Remember the action we saw yesterday in Heat B between Ekstrom and Hansen. It was one of the moments of the weekend. Of course, Ekstrom got that award for hard charging basically yesterday. Pastrana might have got that earlier on today, but a fantastic racing prospect here. Faust as well as Atco up there. So we've got 4 different vehicle manufacturers in the top 4. Audi, Peugeot, Volkswagen and Subaru. Fantastic to see the fight between them.
But the 2 World Rallycross contenders, Ekstrom and Hansen, and as you've said through this, they have got some history. They're being chased down by Tanner Faust. Watch them go. Wow, it's like they're launching out of a machine gun.
Incredible. Look at the roost that Faust is facing in P3. Faust's entire front bumper missing as well. In terms of Joker lap tactics now, Tess, it's difficult here. Hansen would maybe like to Joker, get himself some clean air, but if he goes now, he'll end up in the dust. And Atco's front right tyre has just come off the rim. You pretty much saw that happen, so Atco's going to drop back here. He's rolled the tyre off the rim, and Hansen's all over the back of Ekstrom. Like I say, he can't Joker now because he'll drop back into the dust behind Faust.
So a fight now between the Swedes, Ekstrom and Hansen, and this is only lap 2.
This is what I'm looking forward to. So I say these guys have got a little bit of history in the World Championship. They fired each other off a few times. You know, they're both Swedish, both Red Bull drivers, so rival manufacturers competing in the World Championship this year. Hansen will remember how hard he was raced yesterday, Tess. It could be payback time.
Okay, these 2 are fighting. Tanner Faust right behind them, and pieces are flying off Tanner Faust's car. Look at Timmy Hansen working all over the back of Matthias Ekstrom. He's going to have to give him a little bit of space. They get over this jump. Faust behind him again. I don't think it's going to take long for Hansen to get past. He's really making some moves. Going wide.
Trying the alternate line around the outside. He'll be on the inside into the left. Hansen gives Ekstrom a little nudge, hooks the wheel up over the berm. That's going to push him wide. Hansen goes low. He's going to avoid the jumps. Ekstrom on the outside. Now look for a move up the inside. Not enough time, so he's got to look at a Joker. He's maybe going to have to look at slipping into the Yokohama Joker because he can't seem to find a way past on course. Does he go left now, or is he going to carry on the standard lap? Hansen goes left, he's gone Joker.
Oh,
and Faust has gone
too,
with him.
Yeah.
So now Hansen is hoping that Ekstrom will stay out because he seems to be quicker on the standard lap. He'll bang in a couple of quick laps and try and get in front of him. Ekstrom is highly likely to respond immediately.
And it looked like both Hansen and Faust got out ahead of the rest of the field. So Ekstrom got some clean air right now. It's his chance to really try and put the gap on himself and Timmy Hansen. There's Hansen, Faust right behind him.
In the background, Arpin and Sandell are now up into P4 and P5 thanks to Atco's puncture. So Arpin, who started at the back of the grid in the Focus RSRX, there he is, look, has made it up into P4. Great to see reward for these 2 guys who suffered the retirements earlier on, but the real fight is out at the front, and it's going to be about whether Ekstrom decides to go Joker on this lap or not. Arpin over the standard, smaller jump. So this is it, watching the gap between these 2. I think Ekstrom will Joker now because he knows the Peugeot seems to be faster, Tess.
So if we take a look at this, we're looking at Matthias Ekstrom.
Watch for him to rotate the car tight. He should take the car tight left here if it's going to go Joker. And he doesn't, he goes standard lap. Okay. So Ekstrom then thinks that he can hold him off. It's 3.3 was the gap previously. We need to see if Hansen can bring that gap down. If he can, it looks like he's going to get him when Ekstrom takes the Joker. There's a couple of laps still to go. He can do it on whatever lap he likes, but the gap was 3.3 the last time we crossed the line. We're coming up for that timing point now, Tess.
So pieces of Tanner Faust's car being driven over there by Timmy Hansen. There is Patrick Sandell, Steve Arpin right behind him. Big credit to these two who both didn't get to finish the other races.
The gap is down. The gap is 2.44 seconds. Hansen is hunting Ekstrom down here. Timmy Hansen looking to take the first ever win at Nitro World Games Nitro Rallycross against his familiar competitor Mattias Ekstrom. He's taken nearly a second off him on that last lap test. So Ekstrom's wide and deep now. The Peugeot's eating him up.
Ekstrom over Hansen and then Faust. That's your top three in Nitro Rallycross. Has Mattias Ekstrom left it too late to take the Joker as Timmy Hansen works himself behind Mattias Ekstrom? Remember, Hansen and Faust, second and third, they have taken the Joker. Ekstrom must take it.
He's going to have to take it on the last lap. So Ekstrom decided not to take it on lap 5, and by now, do you know what? He probably knows it's game over unless Hansen makes a mistake. He can't go on this lap. He knows he'll drop behind him. He's hoping now for a mistake from Hansen on lap 5, give him the gap and the space he needs to be able to take it. But you can see Atco's car parked at the side of the road. So Hansen chasing Ekstrom down the straight, and the gap now is 1.55. He's taken another 9/10 off the Audi on this lap.
So great racing from Mattias Ekstrom, but Timmy Hansen, he crashed on this giant jump in practice, and he really felt it, and now he is sailing this thing. He is coming closer and closer to Mattias Ekstrom, who is going to have to duck into the Joker and may have left it too late. Look at this. Hansen is already working on his back bumper. This is really great for Timmy Hansen, who made a little bit of a mistake there, but I don't think it was enough.
He's lined the car up for the option line there. He's all over the back of Ekstrom here, so unless he has a problem in these last couple of corners, Hansen hasn't taken a win in the World Championship for 2 years. He last won in Canada 2016. He'll love to take a win here at the Nitro Games, and he's got him, Tess.
Here we go. Hansen now takes over first position. Mattias Ekstrom going as hard as he can. He gets out in front of Faust. But it's all about Timmy Hansen, the 26-year-old Swede, who is going to bring this Peugeot 208 over. Here it is. It's the checkered flag for Timmy Hansen. What a fantastic win in the first ever Nitro Rallycross.
Bang the car down the gears. Here we go. Celebratory donuts for Hansen up at turn 1. He's spinning the car around, 600 horsepower, four-wheel drive. His first win in 2 years with that enormous jump here. He'd never done a jump like that before he came. He's never seen a course with this much gravel. And look what it means to him. First win in more than 2 years. Yes, Timmy, good lad. Great race. He hunted Ekstrom down, didn't he?
He really did. He worked the back of Mattias Ekstrom and took advantage of the chaos that happened in those first 2 turns that we talked about all the way through. Take a look at this.
So watch for Hansen on the inside here. He comes over the hop jump and he immediately gets the car 2 sideways. He's hot. Couple of cars up the inside, look, speed. Faust gets into Hansen. By now, he's P4. Atco's gone inside. Ekstrom's clever here because he spots this is going to be carnage. That contact there, speed was out immediately. Pastrana goes out just a couple of seconds later. Ekstrom's taken the lead, and Timmy Hansen manages to make it over the jump and get himself up into a decent place to fight. But wow, carnage.
And really, when speed goes sideways here, Travis Pastrana ends up with nowhere to go. He runs into the side of Scott Speed, takes both of them out, and then look at this. Ekstrom sneaking underneath, and then they start going over the top. So great driving and great strategy from Mattias Ekstrom, but it really wasn't enough because on the day, that gray Peugeot of Timmy Hansen, it was all about a really well-run race on his marks the whole way through.
Epic drive from him, great tactics from his spotters. They waited until there was enough clear air behind that when he jokered, he wouldn't find himself in a tricky situation. Ekstrom then, of course, he could just hunt him down. He took a 9/10 off him, another 9/10. By the time we came to the last lap, he knew he would get done on the Joker lap, and checkered flag for Hansen.
And there it is, your results. Timmy Hansen over Mattias Ekstrom, and Steve Arpin takes third, which is a great result for the hard charger. And I don't know if that's right because we think maybe Tanner Faust got it. We hope you enjoyed our Nitro Rallycross racing. We certainly had fun. For Todd Richards, Chris Jacobs, Buggy Lassett, Christy Lee, and Andrew Coley, I am Tess Sewell saying thank you very much for joining us, and be sure to come back to Nitro World Games.
That's fine.
Everyone was enjoying that. Ah, that's some chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it? It was nice words.
If he comes back on TV, I've got to get a picture of him. Good dude. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Motor Trend app. Hope you've been enjoying our Nitro Rallycross racing, the great onboard cameras you could access there. And oh man, what a race we saw for that final. I think we didn't think there'd be any disappointment from this idea of Travis Pastrana, and for sure it delivered in ways that we couldn't have even imagined. You're looking now at Tanner Faust, who according to what we've seen should be in third place. He was marked as a DNF, but I think that's maybe because the transponder probably fell off his car. But the winner of that race, and what an amazing race it was, Timmy Hansen. He's down with Christy Lee.
Timmy, absolutely outstanding race. You were chasing Ekstrom almost the entire time, but you knew he had to take that Joker lap. So it was almost like you were waiting to just take that win. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. We jokered early, great strategy. Then every lap I was able to close the gap. But I think this win comes down to, of course, a great team, great teamwork. But you know, yesterday we didn't take that gap jump, and today I just had to be brave, go over that, and we gained a lot of time doing that. So yeah, the win today feels incredible. Nitro World Games gold.
This was an outstanding track and also an incredibly technical track. How did you feel out there? Obviously, you jived well with it.
Yeah, I love this track. I think this is the best rallycross track on the planet. I've never had this kind of crazy racing, and when I was just behind Matthias, you know, I was able to fight him, choose different lines and get really close. I've never been able to do that before. I think it's been an incredible event. Unfortunately, he didn't want to shake my hand after. I think he's a bit of a bad loser, but you know, we came up with a gold.
That's our winner, Tess. Congrats, Timmy.
Thanks, Christy. Bit of a bad loser.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? A little bit of needle, as I said. These two have got a fair in the World Championship, and that continues here with the win for Timmy.
And there you have those results. Hansen over Ekstrom, still showing Arpin in third, but we think maybe it's because Tanner Faust had a transponder problem, but not taking anything away from Steve Arpin. Because of all of these drivers, he was definitely the most challenged with the equipment. He couldn't do the big jump because he had suspension challenges that took his teammate Ken Block out of competition altogether. So big credit to Steve Arpin for hanging on in there. And I mean, that was just, it was a real race because we were having such an amazing time. Hansen over Ekstrom, and I think Christy's actually caught up now with Matthias Ekstrom.
I sure did. What an outstanding race. Matthias, you were out front early. You kept the lead, but you still had to hit that joker lane. Tell us about it.
Yeah, no, we were pretty sure that the first corner into the tightening up there would be a mess, so we said we stay out of the gap jump to lap 1 and try to go for the tabletop, and it looked like it paid out, so we went from fourth to first in half a lap, and then I just drove as fast as I could, and we didn't have enough pace. Can only say the Peugeot was faster than us today, so not much more to do. I mean, I drove everything I could and tried to defend when he was close, but as soon as he jokered the following lap, I mean, I knew we were a bit too slow. So, but anyway, P2 is okay. Pretty happy. Had an awesome time here, and just can't say enough about Travis for inviting me, and also thanking all the sponsors that make it happen, and all the fans who come out here. And I mean, also have to admit that the Yokohama tires we are driving, I really enjoy. So I must say, I'm pretty stoked. Even on P2, you know, you can't really scream and shout for P2, but I will take it.
Throughout the weekend, we saw 1, 2, maybe even 3 cars out on the track at once. During that race, we saw 8 cars out on the track at once. What was it like going into turn 1?
Yeah, I think it was pretty exciting. I mean, that's what it should be like. And I mean, Travis, he set the bar really high for this event. And I think when you see what in the end came out, going side by side over the gap jump, going into the bank corners, and I think the show was pretty cool, and racing like this was also nice. And in the end, you know, it is one winner for sure in the race, but I think sport generally saw what Rallycross is all about, and for me this is Rallycross 2.0, what Travis have arranged here with the Nitro Circus guys.
Matthias, congratulations. That's your second place. Tess?
Thanks, Christy. Really great, I got to say, Andrew, for the props that these athletes are giving to Travis for the time and the thought he put into building this Rallycross, which really is so different.
Yeah, 100%. You know, an event like this is an absolutely massive amount of effort. And what I've been most impressed with Travis this weekend, he's got a team of guys to run the event. You'd expect that. He's fully involved in every detail, from shaving degrees off the jump to the format of the racing. He's been at all the meetings. He's made time for the media, made time for the fans. He's been out there competing in the event, you know, which you can see. As I said, I called him the architect earlier on. I think it's a pretty decent way to round up, you know, his involvement in this. It's been in every aspect of it. The drivers have loved it. You can't say better than that.
And I love the fact, you know, like Timmy Hansen saying earlier, he realized he had to take that big jump, even though he was pretty much afraid of it. And here we have it, the podium ceremony. Tanner Faust finally acknowledged he's got that third place, and he jumps on that. The VWs did a great job. Unfortunately for Scott Speed, got knocked out there.
It was a shame. The carnage was a bit too much in turn 2. I would have loved to have seen it, you know, if those guys had got stuck in a bit more, but that's the way it goes, you know. It was good, hard racing.
Matthias Ekstrom taking second, and there he is, Timmy Hansen, the drive of the day. And Mario Benavides, Air Force Technical Sergeant, presenting the first place Nitro Rallycross trophy. Look at that.
Great job by Timmy. Still no handshake there on the podium, was there? You know?
Oh, man. Maybe exchange a few words in Swedish. 2 Swedes and an American, 1, 2, and 3. And here comes the bottle popping ceremony. And I bet for Travis Pastrana, it feels like a long, long road to this point, but Matthias is a pro at this.
They're all good at this. These guys are all winners. You know, Do you know what? Pretty much everyone in the final you could have expected to see on the top step of the podium. I think Timmy Hansen's done a brilliant job this weekend. Yeah, he was top qualifier, having not taken the gap jump. He's absolutely smashed it today in the semi-final and the final. You know, he's looked really, really strong. I said earlier, he's played his cards very cleverly. You know, he hasn't taken the risk until he's needed to. He hasn't really hammered the lap times in until he absolutely had to when he needed to. You know, he did the best job. Say, look at the podium. This is a class act, and the guys who are not on the podium were quick too.
And I think there, Tanner Faust, you could see him explaining that when he took his VW off that jump in the later laps, when he lost the front of the car, that all he's looking at is the sky because his Volkswagen was riding nose high. I really enjoyed that racing. I think the fact that we could see the race developing, we could see where Timmy Hansen was behind Matthias, and there was nothing Ekstrom could do.
No, and as I say, great tactics from his team. In fact, you can see his father, Kenneth Hansen, in the background there, 14-time European Rallycross champion. In fact, his mother there is actually talking to Matthias in the center of the grid. It's very much a family affair. The Hansens, you know, backed by Peugeot, and now, in fact, running with the official Peugeot Sports Squad in the World Championship. But he always has his father spotting for him, and he said, you know, I get a lot of information from him telling me how close is he, how big is the gap. The gap got smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where in the end he took the lead.
Well, we've had a great time here at the Utah Motorsports Campus, all led by the inimitable Travis Pastrana. Todd Richards, Chris Jacobs, and Bucky Lasek on the host desk. Christy Lee, of course, dealing down in the dirt with all these athletes, and Andrew Coley and myself, Tess Toole, up here in the booth, just having an absolutely wild weekend. We really hope you enjoyed all of the coverage on both Motor Trend and Velocity, and hope you'll join us on Facebook Watch for some FMX Quarter Pipe coming up later on today. So from Nitro World Games, this is Tess Toole saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next year.